Okay, there we are. All right, so after almost an hour of trying to figure out stupid Google Hangouts on YouTube, we finally got it. Yay!
Yay!
Hello, everybody. So I'll start out. We have not done a video in months, since probably before summer started, mostly because of me. I'm super busy, and we did a bunch of remodeling this summer, and it just, everything went to heck. So actually my last video that I put up was footage that we took like in June, early June, maybe May. And I finally put like the video together and put it up. But I wanted to real quick, I'm just gonna kind of, if you're new to our videos at all, this is our third video together, our chat. And so we wanted to start doing like episodes and do like, call us the Thrift Queens, because that's what we do, and it's super fun, and we chat about it all the time, and we thought, why not just talk online? Because I'm sure there are more people that like to do that. So we'll just kind of tell you about ourselves real quick, because we don't have we don't have any following really. So so I'll kind of tell you a little bit about myself, and then Rachel, you can tell about yourself, and then we'll just talk vintage, because we're going to talk about vintage, where this episode number 1, because we both love vintage and all the different eras and all that stuff that's going on. I know that my eras don't match at all, but that's fine. Okay, so I am a mom of 6, aging from oldest is 22 down to 3. So I have a kid pretty much in every category. So you can imagine life's crazy busy, and I'm super thrifty, and I save money wherever I can. I am somewhat of a scavenger. I've been doing eBay part-time since last year, and I've been meaning to put up a video about my year-long experience doing eBay, the pros and cons, the ups and downs of it. And I haven't gotten around to it because life is really busy. So so that's kind of me. I'm also a registered nurse. I work part-time at a hospital in labor and delivery, and I start school next March, hopefully. I just sent in my application to be a nurse midwife, and so that's going to be a whole nother stuff coming up that's going to be busy. But this is super fun, and we love to talk about how we can save money, how we do that with our families, and so we want to do that with you guys and just make it really fun and laid back, and we're real. And just a disclaimer that anything we talk about on here is not a teaching video. This is totally not a teaching video. Whatever you get from it, you get from it, but we're not trying to teach you anything, and we may say the wrong thing. These are all our opinions and just our own experiences, and that's that. So if you don't agree, that's fine. You don't have to. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. And now, Rachel, tell us about you.
I have a 10-year-old son and a almost 2-year-old daughter. So we were talking about how difficult it is to do these videos late at night, and the East Coast time zone difference and everything. So we both agreed nap time chats would be super convenient. As as long as nap time continues on my end to happen, and otherwise it might be after the kids are in bed again, but we'll see. Hopefully nap time continues. I am a stay-at-home mom right now, and I'm really creative. I try to be, and I do really enjoy thrifting. I don't know. Shelly has a lot more things going on than I do. I sew, and I hoard fabric. And I get really excited about it.
She does. I don't sew. My husband sews. My mom is a professional seamstress, and I just never enjoyed it. I was the kid that, like, every time I sat in front of a sewing machine, something would break. So Rachel sews for me. She's been encouraging me to kind of dip my toes in. I hand sew, like I mend stuff and I can do all that, but sewing patterns, no, thank you.
I think sewing patterns really started happening for me because I love pinup girl clothing and all these beautiful throwback clothing lines that you can buy, but I will never be able to afford anything from there. Maybe stockings one day, not even shoes, some jewelry like on sale, on super sale. I think the hardest thing is I know that if I wait long enough, I'll find the real thing at the vintage, at the thrift store,
Right.
instead of the reproduction one. But as far as things that are going to fit me, I'm like borderline plus size, 6 foot tall. So I'm not going to ever fit into anything vintage. Once in a while, I'll find like a Lane Bryant dress or something more from the 70s that is true vintage that I can fit into. And it's like a golden treasure too. And I buy it when it's on half price sale. Like, and even at full price, I won't pay at the thrift store. But that's where my love of sewing. I love sewing for my daughter because she doesn't have a say right now. But when she starts to like things or dislike things, that might be a bit of a challenge. But we'll see.
Yeah. Well, good. So we'll talk more about ourselves kind of as we go along. But
it's awkward to talk about yourself.
Huh?
It's kind of awkward to talk about yourself.
I know. But we want to talk about vintage stuff. We've been wanting to talk about this for a long time because we both are attracted to vintage stuff. And we go, if you watch any of our other videos, we love going to the Goodwill outlet and we love looking through linens, and we just are, everybody's drawn to different things, which is what's so great about reselling. And you're going to like different things. Like Rachel is very mid-century rockabilly style, and I'm more of like the boho, late 60s, 70s style. That's what I'm drawn to more. So we're going to show you guys some of the vintage things we have, some of our experiences selling, trying to resell vintage, because now it's so great having a platform that we can still buy really cool vintage things and not worry about it's fitting or not. Like, oh, it's not the right size. Well, we can still enjoy buying it and then putting it on eBay or Etsy. Or I haven't started an Etsy account yet. I know I've been trying to convince Rachel to do it because her store is mostly vintage stuff. So in saying that, I'll after we're done with this video, I'll put a link in to her store and my store. So if you guys see anything you're interested in or just want to take a look at what we have, you're totally welcome to. It's not anything hidden. So let's get started. I wanted to show you guys this vintage nightie because it's so cool. And it's, what is it? Now I can't remember the name.
Nylon?
It is nylon, but it has like a certain name to it. So here's the vintage. I want to show you guys the back because it's super cool.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
It has this beautiful lace V back and these cute little short sleeves. And it's actually a robe style nightie. So it's not really like a nightie. But super soft nylon. And I have a few of these. I actually had a few of it. Oh, and there's like lace trim at the bottom and it's semi-sheer. I've sold several of these on eBay and I love them. Oh, I found another one too. Let me see. I think I left it downstairs. So the last time, Rachel, you and I went to the Goodwill outlet, I don't know if you remember, it's the same color. It's a little bit lighter blue and it looks like it has like the built-in nightie and robe over it. And it's lots of lace and it's gorgeous. I have not put it up on eBay yet. So because I'm so backlogged. So really quick, one of the biggest mistakes new sellers make is they overbuy. And even though I was watching all these informational videos as I was starting eBay, it just got the best of me and I overbought stuff. And so I have been trying desperately to get through my death pile. And it's so hard to not go shopping and buy stuff because that's the funnest part of reselling is the thrifting and the sourcing. But I made the biggest mistake that every newbie makes is I way overbought, and now I'm stuck with this pile, this mound of stuff that I'm like slowly getting through. And so my interest is vintage toys, vintage clothes, vintage linens, like all of that kind of stuff. And I like modern stuff too. So we're just going to talk about some of the vintage stuff that we like and that we've seen, and you guys can kind of get an idea. So do you want me to start, Rachel, or do you want to start?
I don't care. I would like to show off my nightie that
Yes,
I'm
show
wearing
off your
over
nightie.
my basement sweater. So it's a cotton one that I actually bought for myself. It's kind of hard. It's got this beautiful embroidery detail. It's got I'm like unbuttoned so you can see the faux button snaps, and it has your classic 2 pockets, you know, for the mom things that you're constantly picking up and
Kleenex.
finding in your pockets. Mine is bobby pins. I am terrible. I have bobby pins everywhere. Like I have to search my carpet before I vacuum because they just like multiply and I don't kill my vacuum cleaner. But I'm wearing it over my basement sweater, which is also, no, I think I got this in Chicago. This isn't a Bins find, but it's because it's freezing in my basement and all my videos are in my basement. And I will soon have a heater, so I won't be as cold. I won't have to wear a hat and gloves when I'm trying to sew down here. So that's all. I just wanted to show off because we bought these in the summer and had plans to do this video in the summer.
Yeah.
And I wore this all summer long. So your turn, Shelley.
Okay. Yeah, I'm actually freezing too, but because we don't have the fireplace going, and we live in the Pacific Northwest, so Washington State, and it's just winter here is just rainy and cold, and our average temperature is like 40 to 45. So we don't get, it's great for people who like mild weather. We don't get huge fluctuations in weather, and it's just kind of cold and rainy and drizzly. But today is a little bit chilly, and so I'm freezing, and I'm wearing nylon and a tank top. Okay, so here's an example of a really cool vintage quilt. It's probably from the 70s, as you can see by the fabric. It's got this cool plaid, like wool.
When did you get that?
I got this at my local thrift store.
I love it.
And it's hand stitched. I got this for myself or for my girls. I mean, it's just so cool. Like every fabric in here is vintage. There's no holes in it. I love it. So these are the types of things that Rachel and I are drawn to when we go to the Goodwill outlet. And fortunately, where we live, the bins that's closest to us has a lot of linens. So we've found some really cool quilts and vintage quilts and blankets, and all the blankets are $1.99. It doesn't matter how big they are. So that's kind of cool. We found some really cool things. This I did not get at the bins though, but it is really cool. And that is actually mine. I will show you one thing though so that's probably from the 70s. This is probably, I'm guessing, the 80s more than earlier. So, and I am planning on listing this just because I don't really wear this kind of stuff. It's really cool, but it's not really me. This is really cool, and I actually have this listed. This is a vintage. I'm guessing it's probably from the 20s or 30s, and it is a real fur, leopard fur muff, and it has the little wristlet on it, and the back is it blurry for you?
No, it's so beautiful.
Okay. The back is like an embroidered burgundy satin. It almost feels like silk. And then it's fully lined, and inside it also came with these ear pieces too. I'm not sure if it's for like a headband or a hat or whatever, but that's included with it. And then inside is satin. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's like a very satiny. And then there's a pocket also on the inside to put your belongings, money, anything you need, pens, pencils, whatever. But this is absolutely gorgeous. Like there are no flaws to it whatsoever. You want to know where I found it? I was thrifting with my kids looking for Halloween costumes, and our thrift store like has all of these like 2 or 3 racks of like random things to make your own, you know, Halloween costumes. They're not all like store-bought or anything. And I'm like going through it, and I came across this, and it was just sitting like on a hanger, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I touched it, and I'm like, this is real fur. This is like real. So I brought it home. I bought it for $4.99. Like I can't find another one like it, this quality, anywhere online, on eBay, for sale anywhere. So I have it up for $250 with no best offer, and free shipping, because I know that it's a very rare item, and I'm willing to sit on it because somebody who is in love with that is gonna want that. And so I'm okay with sitting on that. Did
you switch it to no returns?
I haven't yet. I haven't switched it to no returns because there are people that will buy stuff like this, use it for one event, and then return it because they don't want it. So, oh, here comes my little 3-year-old. You need to go downstairs. Go down with Michaela. Go in the bathroom, quick. Sorry, guys. She has some issue with making it to the bathroom. Go. Go, 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 go. Downstairs. Okay, go. Go to Michaela. So my 15-year-old is watching her, and the other 2 are at school. So what? We'll see. Okay, yeah. Go ahead. Okay. So another thing that draws me, I was going to say, so the last time we went to the bins, not the last time, but we went to the bins, I think that it was the end of June or sometime in June. And on some of our last videos, we had a gal that was talking with us who lives in our area, and her name is Elsie. So Elsie, hi. I wanted to say hi to you because we haven't done a video since we saw you at the bins in Everett. So that's how long it's been. It's been a long time, and I just wanted to say hi. And so we met a gal there that actually saw our videos and communicated with us saying, hey, I live in your area. I'd love to go shopping with you. So we went down, we met her, and it was so much fun to run into somebody that has, you know, that we met on YouTube. Like, what are the odds? And we shopped next to each other, and it was super fun. But while we were there, I found, so the cool thing is with that is like I was saying, that we're all interested in different things. So there's not like this sense of competition when we're thrifting, like, because I'll find stuff, and then I know, like, if I know that this is something Rachel would like, I handed it to her. And Elsie, if you watch this, I know you were interested in different things. And so we were actually like helping each other, like, oh my gosh, what do you think of this? Do you want it? Like, do you want to sell this? Yes. So I got, when I was there,
Elsie found me a lot of vintage toddler things that my daughter is wearing right now.
Yes.
She was like, I just found the vintage toddler jackpot. Do you want it? And it was all so adorable Western wear in 3T that Annabelle is wearing right now.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
I know. And so that day they had a ton of vintage baby stuff too. So I found all of these little wool baby diapers, and these, I mean, I cloth diapered my kids. And so I know that these are at least from the 50s, most likely. And so I have all these little random wool baby diapers that were probably hand done. And I don't have them on eBay yet because I've been trying. There's like hardly anything out there. Again, that's one of the hard things with doing eBay sometimes, is like you just don't know what is going to sell, what's not. But find what you love and then list what you love. That's my advice. But so I got all these really cool baby wool diapers, and I just haven't figured out how I'm gonna sell them because I don't need them, and I don't think I would use them anyway because they're just really cool and old. And so anyway, that was my cool story of that.
Do you want me to share a few of my things?
Yes, I do.
I didn't collect as well as you did. What I was going to do is show you this.
Yes. Okay, you found this today, right?
This is my treasure from today. It's all fabric. I went to my local thrift store that I like to go to, and usually I'll buy this or that in vintage fabric. I always try and like spend less than $10. That's my goal. But they had fill a bag for $5, which they've never done. I know your thrift store does fill a bag sales often. I've never had, mine is always individually priced. But they had 5 or 6 boxes of vintage fabrics. And before I realized that it was fill a bag for $5, I was like already like, oh my gosh, I'm spending too much money. I don't know how much none of this is priced. And I was panicking, and I'm shopping with a toddler. So I'm on dumb sucker time. So once she's done with her sucker, it's time for us to go. So I have like 15 minutes to look through this section and then hit up whatever I'll do while I'm trying to keep her entertained. But once I found out it was fill a bag, I started like folding it up really tight and rolling it. So I wanted to show you the awesomeness. Some things I threw in last minute because I felt like I had a little more room in the bag. So there's this. That's like a polyester.
Is that like 80s style?
I'm not sure. I was drawn to this mustardy yellow. And it's definitely polyester feeling. I don't know what I'm gonna it would be a great liner for something.
I don't know. I think that would make a great jumpsuit.
It would. I don't think there's enough for a jumpsuit.
Darn it.
I like how you think. There's enough to line a small coat. I got this.
Ooh, I like that.
Which is like I'm like trying to show you. It's like a flocked kind of.
Oh yeah.
Nylon-y. I totally grabbed these, which have been cut for a dress. But, you know, I could make Annabelle something. They're little bits and pieces. Each of them. Little last minute pieces that I grabbed. There's this that was clearly someone was making pants and quit. And it's very, hold on, so here's the top, but then it has a border print on the bottom. And they're pants out of like a linen. They've got this cute little pocket, but they're not finished. So I liked the fabric, so I had to buy them. Then here's a pillowcase. You know, I always pick up the pillowcases, and I'll sell these on eBay in a lot. Then, oh, my cell phone just fell because someone texted me. So I'll have to look at that real quick. Hold on.
So I would totally wear those pants, like if they were my size, linen, like big flowers on them, like wide leg pants.
What'd you say?
Oh, I said I would totally wear those pants if they were my size, those linen ones.
I think they're too short, but we can see what we can do. Maybe I could add something to the top. The crazy part is I found all these panels, and I'm not sure if they're bark cloth or they're just like a polyester blend, but they are bright. So
Woo.
This is half. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
So there's that one, and then there's a lot of them. So I'm gonna have to look them up. I'm definitely gonna sell them. There is a tiger. Can you see how bright and vibrant they are?
Yes.
A lion.
Wow.
But there's more. Such a good deal. I've already made my money right in these panels. Like, someone's gonna snatch these up. They're so unique and cool. Here is a Cheetah. And then the last one, I think it's the last one. Oh, this one's pretty cute. It's pandas. Like a whole panda family.
So they're definitely like a safari animal theme for each of them.
Right. But the orange one doesn't fit in the color schemes of the other, but. And you know I'm a sucker for, oh my gosh, I forgot the name of this print. You'll know right away.
Gingham.
Gingham. Yeah. So I got this color and this color and another yellow and a purple and a mustard because, you know, I love the mustard. And then I got a brown too. It's in here somewhere. I got this fabric. I mean, this is just like, I don't know. There's enough to make a top, maybe a skirt. It's just like a sheer cottony funkiness. This is a skirt that someone was trying to take in that was a homemade skirt. I thought I could make that into a cute little toddler dress.
Does that have eyelets on it?
No. Just little flowers. Reminds me of a Liberty print, which is a British company. Then I got a brown gingham. I grabbed this. This is a linen. It's super 60s.
I love that.
And this one, which is a polka dot with little yellow flowers. And then a Christmas cross-stitch tablecloth. Or table runner, actually, is what it is. I'll sell that on eBay. I don't think it's that old because it's printed on, and the edges are definitely machine done. But then this one, oh my gosh.
Ooh, I like that one.
Yeah. And then this I got a ton of.
I love that.
It's just like a yellow with these beautiful.
You need to make a
60s.
You need to make a dress out of that.
That's definitely shirt dress material. Like, so excited. So I've been sorting all my fabric into toddler dresses and then real people clothes because I'm realizing how much fabric it takes to construct something, because I used to have it organized in I love this in order of how much I love it. But if I only had half a yard, it wasn't ever going to become anything for me. So I'm on to my second full bin of toddler fabric of just like cool odds and scraps that I've grabbed.
So do you have a sample? Do you have a sample of what the dresses that you've been making, like to show, or is it upstairs?
Annabelle's wearing one of them, okay. And then I have a partially constructed one that I can show you. But this is what I've kind of done. So this is a polka dot that is going to be the yoke of the dress, and then these are just a blue flower that will be the sleeves. And then here's just a plain brown linen for the back of the dress. And then this cool 60s, 70s print will be like the ruffle. And then it's going to be this pattern right there.
Hold it still.
Is it still enough? Do I need to take it out of the bag? Is it too shiny?
Shoot, no, I can totally see it.
Okay, cool.
So let people know what your plan is to do with these dresses.
So I'm thinking once I perfect construction, I'm going to start selling them on Etsy, and they're going to be all salvaged fabric, vintage fabric, really boho style. I really I watched, I can't remember the name, but there's this really interesting documentary I can't say the word correctly. My accent is coming through, huh? About the amount of fabric that is in landfills and where it goes. So I really wanted to upcycle all this fabric that I have. And I could never make enough dresses for my daughter, so I thought it'd be fun for other people to have my little. This is my Thanksgiving one. So it's a bib style with a ruffle sleeve and a really small rickrack. And this is just some quilting, a higher quality leaf print quilting cotton. And then like a swirl. And then this is the bib. So let me back up a little bit. So all I have left to do is the buttons and the buttonholes and then the hem.
I love it.
So, and I'm going to put this really fine mustard rickrack along the hem line that I have right here. And then I have all vintage buttons because you know my addiction to vintage buttons. And I've lined it. So this isn't one I'm going to sell. This was my second run at the pattern. And I'm still trying to figure out how to simplify the construction for me to be able to sew them quickly and consistently.
Mm-hmm.
Sleeve is a little tricky. It's not tricky to make, it's tricky to put into the bib. So I'm just trying to make it easier. But eventually I'd like to have an Etsy store. So this was the only thing I was going to buy because I knew I would make money on it on eBay. But it is a quilt top that someone has already done with panels. And it has moose and this great big owl. And bears.
Sorry. That's awesome.
I dropped my earbuds.
I'm just laughing. I said, what? That's awesome.
I know. It's an awesome possum, right?
Oh, that's just not my style. That's hilarious.
I know.
I want big animals all over my house.
Don't you? It's really pretty for someone who has like the rustic hunting cabin
in the woods,
yeah, kind of thing. And what's cool is people like to buy quilt tops. They will finish the quilt,
right?
So
and quilt tops are way cheaper to mail too.
Yes, so I pick up quilt tops that are made well or have a theme all day long because I know there's someone out there because they can go even and have this quilted for them. So they could buy this from me and go to someone who has a long arm machine quilter and just buy the backing in the middle. And they'll have a Christmas present for someone for their hunting rustic cabiny place. But all that was $5.
That's awesome. I love those bag sales. Cool. When our local thrift store does them, I do the same thing. I'm like rolling everything up super tight and shoving it in there as hard as I can. And like, they're so heavy. I think once I weighed one when we got home and it was like 75 pounds, like I had like shoved stuff in there so good. But when I counted everything out, it was like 8 cents an item. So I'm like, you know, even if I made $2 off the item, that's still such a huge return on your investment. But I've changed the way I do things a lot. So just because I'm learning a bunch of lessons, and one of those being I'm really not buying anything unless I know I'm going to get a good return on it, because I am way too busy to be listing items that I'm going to put up for less than $10. Now, I may put up some items less than $10 just because I have to get rid of my pile that I have, and from stuff that I bought a long time ago that I should not have bought. I just am going to try to get rid of it. So now for those of you who are thinking, ooh, I'm going to get a bunch of vintage stuff and sell it for big money on eBay, don't do it, because vintage stuff is very slow moving. And if you talk to anybody who sells vintage stuff on eBay, they're going to say the same thing. It's very specific buyers that are looking for specific items. You're not going to make a ton of money, and stuff sits for a long time because it's going to take a specific buyer for that item. So like I just sold vintage 80s and early 90s is really big right now as far as like the pop culture. But you can go to Forever 21 and pick up almost, I walked through there I went to visit my friend down in California in like March, I think it was. And we went to a Forever 21, and it was hilarious to walk through there. And I was like, I had that. I had that, because I was an early 90s high schooler. So I totally I think it's absolutely hilarious that these styles are coming back and that they're in. But I know what to look for because I knew what was in style when I was in high school. And I'm like, all of those styles are coming back. The high-waisted jeans, the tight rolled pants, Doc Martens. Oh, that reminds me. Here's another. These were my jam in high school. I was that girl that listened to Depeche Mode and had the Cure poster on my wall. And I lived in Doc Martens. So this is, I don't know if you guys can see in the light. These are a pair of vintage early 90s double buckle leather Doc Martens that I got at the thrift store. And Doc Martens still make new, but the quality is just not the same. And people will buy vintage early 90s, late 80s Doc Martens all day long. I just made a draft for these today. If you want them, they're going up tonight. They are UK size 5, which is a US size 7. And they're like a burgundy brown shoe. So those are really cool. So I love vintage 90s. I love vintage 80s. So here's an 80s thing that I got. Also during the Halloween time. This is I believe it's
so pretty.
Yeah, it is. It's JCPenney Fashions. Ooh, JCPenney Fashions. It has like
so fancy.
It is so fancy. It has like the sheer puff sleeves. And on the bottom, I was going to look at that. It's like Cinderella.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's totally tied with ribbon. And it's like this fuchsia pink. It has a few snags on it, probably from my cat, because I had it hanging. So that kind of makes me mad. But it is really cool. There's no like major huge flaws to it. So that is like an 80s. And those are coming back for like more like prom and dances and stuff like that. People are looking for those puffy sleeved, shoulder pads. It's crazy. But oh, Rachel, I was going to ask you. So I have this vintage Pendleton coat. Mm-hmm. Peter got it like in spring or whatever. And I was going to ask you, the shoulders on it are not like your square shoulder. They're like rounded, so there's no like shoulder seam. Do you know what that's called?
I think it's batwing.
It's not batwing. Like this
sloped?
Is wide.
Maybe sloped.
Sloped shoulders. They're like, it's like a sloped shoulder.
Yeah.
Coat.
I can look in some of my books, but I did pin on Pinterest. I'll send it to you. Like this big posting that they had with all the different sleeve type names.
Well, I had for shirts. I know what a lot of shirts are, but look, I'm going to try it on for you. Yeah. So it has like the shoulder pad, but there's no shoulder seam to it. It just goes straight down. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I can't remember what it's called, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's definitely not my style. I think this was one of those purchases that, like, when we were first starting out, we were like, oh, Pendleton's a great brand. Let's buy everything Pendleton. Don't buy everything Pendleton. Don't do it.
Buy everything.
There are only a handful of Pendleton things that sell well. One of them being blankets. if you can find a Pendleton blanket, wool blanket, those sell really well, especially the older ones, or like the Navajo or Native American pattern ones. Those ones sell really well. Women's Pendleton does not move. It just doesn't move. And this is a women's Pendleton coat, wool coat. It is vintage, but it has damage to
What's
it.
the tag?
What was that?
What's the tag look like? Like, how, can you tell? Is it 80s? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's 80s. The style is definitely 80s with the shoulder pads and the bigger sleeves. And but like there's a tear in the seam of the lining, and the wool is worn, and 2 of the buttons have been replaced. It actually looks kind of cool with the different buttons, but they're like totally, this is a cool button here. I'm sure it's vintage.
Yeah.
So it has like 3 different buttons on the front, which actually kind of makes it more unique, but I have no idea. Like I finally got pictures of it, and so I'm trying to get it listed, and I'm like, I don't even know what to list it for. Like $20, $40. I don't know. What's somebody gonna buy it for? Who knows? So that's another
part of. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that's another vintage item that I don't know.
The hardest part I find of I'm looking up sleeves. I'm multitasking. Sleeve names of selling on Etsy is when you go and do your research for Etsy, they don't have that nice option that eBay has where you can see what your item is going for. So when I will look like what are handmade toddler dresses going for, they're all over the place on Etsy. And then if you look on eBay, you don't have as much of a market for handmade toddler vintage clothing, so they're going a lot cheaper than, so it's kind of, you have to decide for yourself what you're willing to let it go for. And I don't know, I feel like that's kind of hard because you could be pricing out of your category,
right? Yep.
But we'll see. It'll be fun.
So I also like hard goods, vintage hard goods. I like vintage toys. I have like a lot of vintage wooden like baby toys, and I have way too much for myself. I love the vintage Fisher Price little people because I played with them when I was little, so I went a little crazy over the last like 5 or 10 years or whatever, and I've just been collecting the Fisher Price little people stuff. And so I have like an entire toy box downstairs just full of Fisher Price little people, the towns, the farm, the everything. And so I love that kind of stuff. And that actually does resell well. I don't want to part with it because it'll last forever. And it's like one of the things that my kids cannot break because it's sturdy. Another thing, I showed this in one of my haul videos a long time ago. And no, I haven't sold it yet, but it is a vintage 60s suitcase, and I keep going back and forth. Like, it's right next to the things that I need to list, and I'm just like, I need to get that listed. I need to get that listed. You know, it's not something I would use, but this is totally me. And we got this at the bins, and it's just awesome. There's like no tears on it. It's just a canvas, like cotton floral little suitcase that you would just take, on a trip or whatever, and it's really cool. So anyway, that's another vintage 60s. Wouldn't you say it's 60s?
Yeah, I'd say 60s.
Yeah.
Possibly early 70s, but either way, I doubt you're going to find any more on eBay. It's very unique.
Yeah. And like last time we found a Samsonite vintage suitcase. I think I got it. You got it, didn't you?
I bought it, yeah. I'm going to put peg legs on it and make it into a end table.
Yes.
Peg legs are another type of leg, but it's going to be a basement end table. I just got to reinforce it with some wood. Yeah. But I wanted you to, so I looked up the names, and you could either call it kimono sleeve or batwing. I think the batwing comes down further.
Right. It has like where the armpit goes way down.
And the kimono comes up a little higher, but still doesn't have the sleeve line. I'll send this to you.
Kimono sleeve. Okay.
I'll send this little thing to you before I forget. You were much more prepared. I'm sorry. I have so many cool vintage things that I could show, but I was just so excited about my bag of fabric that I now have to find a place to put away.
Yeah.
So. And then I'm going to finish up that dress. That's going to be Annabelle's Thanksgiving Day dress. That one with the leaves on it.
Yeah. And I also...
And then this will probably be the first one I list on Etsy.
Yeah, which is great.
Go ahead.
I was looking into Etsy and I just don't have the time for it. And same with Poshmark. Like I have a Poshmark store and I have not been thrilled with Poshmark. It's so much, it takes so much time it's just, I am not super big on social media and you have to share everything and follow people and share other people's items. And the effort that you put into it for the amount of sales is it's just, the balance is way off. It's much easier just to list your stuff on eBay and then just leave it. But eBay has its downfalls too. I mean, things are going really slow right now.
For fourth quarter. Really slow for fourth quarter.
I had one great day. My sales are up from last month by like 30%, but from last year at this time I was selling stuff like every single day. And I still am. There's only been a couple days that I haven't sold anything. And I have 200 or 300, almost 340 items in my eBay store right now. So I'm definitely more active. I spend more time on it than Rachel does. Because I use my money to pay for private school for my 3 younger girls. So I have an incentive I try to keep listing every day. And I have a premium store. So I'm paying a premium store subscription, which I'm kind of kicking myself for because I probably should have just kept it at a basic store, even though I always used up my 250 listings, but I don't know if it's quite equaled out to pay for that. And my advice, not, teaching, is that clothing is completely saturated. Unfortunately, that's what I like to sell though, is clothing. That's what I started out selling. I've always had an eye for quality clothing and, but it's just saturated. I don't know if there's just been this huge influx of people starting to do eBay or whatever. It is a job. It's a lot of work. And I think once people realize how much work you put into it for the return, it can be kind of heartbreaking. And it's hard. It's really hard at times when you are putting in hours every day and you're selling like one $10 item a day, And so it's really to look at your time for your investment. Sometimes it doesn't add up. And the fact that it is unpredictable, like there's no guarantee. You could have 1,000 items listed and make $20 a day. You could have 100 items listed and sell $100 worth a day. So there's just really no predictable measure of what you're going to make. It's definitely not something you want to quit your job and just start doing if you don't have experience doing it, which is why it's so fun when Rachel and I get to do it, because we get to share our experiences and the woes of customer service and what people say and do. So if you guys, if anybody watches this and you want us to talk about something specific, let us know. That's kind of why we started doing this, is so that we could talk about a specific thing, whether it be cooking or kids or whatever it is. We're open to talk about it. If you just want to talk about eBay or reselling or making money. So like this cabinet right here, this ugly one that's right in my front of my middle of my living room is I just sold it on OfferUp. So it's up here because I'm getting rid of it. So we also sell stuff locally, and any way to make a buck to help around the house is really good. And that's what we're all about, is different ways of making income and finding that entrepreneur in us to, as the bin pickers would say, think outside the box, do things different. We're not the same as everybody, and that's kind of cool. So, Yeah. Anything you want to add to that, or?
No, I think this was a good experiment and we should do it again, and I will be more prepared, and maybe we'll have to have more of an outline for our plan because we've talked about it so much and it took so long to get it together this time. We had a lot of technical difficulties for like an hour. So you were much more prepared than I was. I feel bad. Sorry about that.
Don't feel bad. It's totally fine. Or if you guys want to see more videos of us going to the bins when we do go, we're happy to do those too. Or like if you want us to see, like if you want to see what sold videos, what is selling on eBay, or realistic numbers or anything. So anyway.
I think it's really interesting for people that watch our video because you and I have completely different stores. We're interested in completely different things. We do have some similarities. We do this on different levels. I'm just happy to pay a few little bills and have thrifting money that doesn't come out of my grocery money. Of course, love to make more money on eBay, but I can only invest nap time into it. So it can never become more than nap time for me until Annabelle goes to preschool. So I've got some years left. But I think that would be interesting for a viewer. And we're interested in different things. So.
Which is good. That's what makes us more unique, is that we are. So
when we go to the bins, it's my most favorite day. So it's definitely
yes. If you haven't watched yet, go back and watch our bin videos. They're not very long, and it shows you how much fun we have. And like literally, it's hard to sleep the night before we go, just because we just have so much fun. And it's like a treasure hunt every time you go. You just never know what you're gonna get. So it's pretty cool. Yeah. So
that being said, I'm ready. I'm all good.
Okay.
Are you good?
I'm good. So let us know what you guys think, what you want to see. This is kind of our first episode trial thing. Let us know what you think of our name. We don't know what to call it. So anyway, thanks for watching, you guys, and we'll see you at the next chat. Probably be on a Friday again, or just some day that everything's quiet and kids are gone or napping, so which is rare. So we're not going to have any set time right now. Maybe in the future we can do a set day and a set time. Like I love the show Sip and Flip. That's like on YouTube. If you go to it, it's super funny, and it's every Tuesday, or they try to do it every Tuesday, but that kind of inspired me to do this. So anyway, thanks you guys for watching, and we will see you with our next video. Have a great, productive weekend.